The following TBT interview with the unsigned hype, Harlem Bravado, was pre-recorded on the 16th of September 2017.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TBT Interviews. I'm Matt Burns, and with me we have got Harlem Bravado, who has come all the way overseas.
All the way overseas, man. Long trip.
I can definitely say it's a long trip because I've actually been there myself.
There you go.
Numerous times. Been to Florida, end up touring half of America.
Right. Have you ever been to North Carolina?
Yes,
That's my home.
love it.
In Draper, North Carolina.
I can honestly say that was one place where, as I was touring, I wanted to actually stop there.
It's great. It's the
It
best.
was peaceful.
I mean, I might be biased, but yeah.
No, but that's my own view as well.
Right.
It was actually brilliant because I had the whole family. We all, as soon as they go, time to move on, it's like, no.
Right. Joe Cruz.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Did all that. I've actually done cruises, flights, and everything. So
Nice.
I've been over there multiple times. Always love going.
Yeah, I love it.
Always. So this interview is basically just so the fans can get to know you.
Sure.
More of your past. We can definitely know that you've been in the business in the business for quite some time.
Okay.
You've got quite a bit of a history.
Yeah, man.
ROH, TNA, and everything. Jakura Pro,
Yeah.
wrestling, Pro Wrestling Noah. The list goes on.
Yeah. All right. Well, is this one of those start at the beginning kind of things?
It's pretty much as is. So
Okay.
how did you actually get into it?
So, I mean, as a kid, my grandmother was still to this day the biggest wrestling fan I've ever met. She's passed away now, but she was just absolutely the biggest wrestling fan. So we would watch, Nitro, Raw, whatever, and then she would tape them, and then we just continually watch them every night of the week.
I can imagine.
So we'd watch each episode of Raw and SmackDown 7 times. Nitro, Thunder, like everything. She's just a huge fanatic, and that love just kind of carried over to me and my brother. But as a kid, you're like, oh yeah, I want to be a pro wrestler, but you don't really know, like, well, did you go to school to be a pro wrestler? Do you, like, how do these guys just become wrestlers? Like, if you listen to Jim Ross's commentary, everybody was either a college football player or a college wrestler, so I was like, okay, well, I need to start playing football. So I started playing football. Didn't really like it. I just did it because I knew Jim Ross was like, oh, well, this guy played at, Western Michigan, and this guy was a nose tackle for, the University of Colorado. So I was just like, yeah, I'll do that then. Still didn't know. Was just doing all these things just because I heard it on wrestling. And then finally, when I was like 16 or 17, we started me and my brother started looking at schools. And we had always been fans of Ring of Honor. So we would get the DVDs every month. We would, we were part of the message board. We just loved it. It was just a different style of wrestling. So I always wanted to be a wrestler, but then when I saw some of these matches, like with the Briscoes and with Austin Aries and Danielson and Punk, I was just like, man, I want to be a wrestler, but I want to be that kind of wrestler. Like I want to do what they're doing. Yeah. Like, WrestleMania, that'd be great. That'd be incredible. But I kind of want to do what they're doing. Like, I want to learn how they do it. So then we ended up going to the Ring of Honor Wrestling School under head trainer Delirious, and that was in October of 2008. That was right after Gabe Sapolsky, the booker, had just been replaced by Adam Pearce.
Yep.
Adam Pearce came to a few training sessions, just kind of like, because he was in the office anyway, but, he would stop by and just offer his advice. And so that was really cool because we got a perspective from our trainer who was Delirious, but then we also got a little bit of perspective from, the booker.
The booker as well, which is always good because if you get input off the booker, it can also help you towards future bookings. And
absolutely, yeah. So just having that relationship with him. And then he always saw us because me and my brother were just always at every show, whether we were doing ring crew or security or, pretty much any job that needed to be done that, nobody else wanted to do, we would do.
In a way, like the old school way of paying your dues.
Absolutely, yeah. So we, like I said, we enrolled so we moved from North Carolina to Philadelphia, which is about a 9-hour drive. We started in October 2008, and then we had our first match for Ring of Honor in September of 2009, so about 11 months later, just showing up, doing the ring, doing all that stuff, and then finally, out of the blue, he was just like, hey, Pierce came up to us and was like, dude, would you like to wrestle tonight? We were like, yeah, of course, that's what we've been waiting for.
Imagine.
And that was in Dayton, Ohio, and then once we got that first match under us, we would just, every show, just like, okay, you'll be with these guys, you'll be with this guy. It was just pre-show for the first few months. But then finally, in January of 2010, we made our main roster debut, and it was just
I can imagine it being
full
special.
speed ahead. Yeah, just full speed ahead after that. And plus, we were doing the HNet TV tapings at that time. So that was cool. We had to have a lot of good matches. And plus, with TV, the way it works is, so on the main shows, we were only getting to wrestle people that was kind of on our level or a little bit better. But on TV, we were getting to wrestle guys like Cabana and Generico, and Delirious and Chris Hero and Claudio Castagnoli. So like on the TV tapings, it was a different kind of learning experience. Because on the house shows, they were competitive matches. But then on the TV shows, we were getting to wrestle people that were way better than us that could teach us and say, okay, maybe you should have done this and maybe you should have done that. So it was just a really good experience.
It's with myself. I've always found if you're wrestling against somebody who's got way more experience than yourself, it's absolutely fantastic getting their input after.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And whatnot, because you always, because in wrestling, I've always said you're always learning.
Oh, sure.
At all times, you know, if you knew everything about wrestling, it'd be like, you know, what's next?
So even with guys like say like Chris Hero and like Claudio Castagnoli, like they were kind of the first guys to show us a few things, and like you said, like afterwards, kind of say, you know, maybe you should do this, or maybe you should head in this direction, or maybe you guys should tighten that up a little bit. And that's just invaluable information and experience that you don't get. Like, we wouldn't have had that same experience had we not gone to the Ring of Honor school. You know what I mean? We would have been cutting our teeth with people that were on our level that couldn't give us that kind of advice. So we were very lucky in that respect.
And I can imagine, you know, especially with wrestling against the kings of wrestling.
Yeah.
Because I do actually remember them when they were there. Do you have any memorable matches from during them times?
Oh man! So we wrestled the Kings of Wrestling at the 8th anniversary show. So that was our first match in the Manhattan Center. So that was kind of special, and to be with those guys, because like I said, we had wrestled them a few weeks before. We actually got that match because we had a match on TV that Pierce really liked, and he was like, "Let's do that again," you know, at the 8th anniversary show. So wanting to get and wrestle on the anniversary show is, you know, it's huge. But then to get to wrestle with them and have it be in the Manhattan Center, that was kind of special. Anytime we wrestled the Young Bucks was really good. We had a string of matches with them where we did like New York, Chicago, North Carolina, Louisville. There was like 3 months where we just tied to each other, just wrestled over and over, so that was good. Cedric Alexander, Caprice Coleman. So Cedric is also from North Carolina, Caprice is from North Carolina. So we had a tag match in Charlotte, so that was kind of special. All the hometown boys kind of, you know, on that scale of Ring of Honor. That was really cool. There's just so many. We had a few deals with Colin O'Reilly, Future Shock. Once again, we did like Chicago, Charlotte, New York, and then we had a 3-way where it was us, Colin O'Reilly, and the Young Bucks in the Manhattan Center, and that was probably.
I can imagine that.
That was probably our best match in Ring of Honor, or at least probably my favorite one. Our best one might have been against Colin O'Reilly in Chicago, but one of those. So yeah, we had just always fun, always a good time.
And one thing I will say, with you being on the road quite a bit, you've probably got plenty of road stories as well. Travelling stories. It's something that's quite common with wrestling.
Yeah.
There's always a story.
Okay, so one of the many stories that we have, we were on the way to a Shakara show. It was a blizzard in Minnesota. So we were supposed to fly from North Carolina to Minnesota. They get in touch and say all flights are canceled coming into Minnesota. Nice. So our options were we could fly to Chicago and try to rent a car, but everybody was doing that, so there might not be any car rentals left. But that would have just been, and last minute flights, you know, just crazy expensive. So we're like, okay, we'll drive. The drive from Charlotte, North Carolina to Minnesota is like 26 hours straight. So we were supposed to fly, the show was on Friday night, we were supposed to fly out Thursday afternoon, but they let us know Wednesday night. So we pretty much have to leave as soon as we find out, like, okay, if we're driving, we gotta leave right now. So it was me, my brother, and Sugar Dunkerton, and another guy named Kyle Matthews. They drove up from Atlanta to Charlotte, which is 4 hours, and then we took 26 hours, all because and then about 4 of that was into the eye of the blizzard. We got there, still a great show for Chikara. Everybody still came out, even though it was, you know, about a foot of snow on the ground.
That's one thing I've always noticed, that you can have an absolute blizzard outside, but inside of any wrestling show, it's packed.
The whole town was shut down. Like, gas stations were closed. Like, coming in, we'd be like, man, nobody's gonna show up to this show. We get there, there's a line outside the building. We're just like, well, The show must go on.
The show must go on, and it shows how much dedication there is there as well.
And it's probably a good sign because there was literally nothing else to do. Like if you wanted to get out of the house, the only thing to do was come to this wrestling show, and it was sold out. So it was really nice, really nice.
And I can imagine you putting on a great show as well.
Yeah.
For them and everything. So with wrestling, we just on your memorable matches. Is there anybody that you've learned the most off?
Well, most recently, James Mason. I've wrestled him. So I moved here about almost 10 months ago, like 9-10 months ago, and I've wrestled James probably 15 times this year. No, probably 20 times this year. And every time I step in the ring with him, I learn something else. So it's just, he's absolutely incredible. I think he's probably the best wrestler in England.
I can't actually argue with that at all because I've actually met him myself.
Oh, yeah.
Even been in the ring with him myself, and even had a match against him. And I was like, straight off the match, he gave me some great advice, and I took it straight on board. But it was so great to have the advice that he was giving me, and it wasn't like it was proper critiquing.
Right.
And everything as well. He mentioned all my good stuff and some stuff that I can improve on. It was great information.
Yeah, he has such an attention for detail, and like the smallest of things you would never think about, and he'll be like, maybe you should pay a little bit more attention to that. You're like, oh, yeah, he's definitely right. Like he just has so many years and so many matches under his belt. Anytime you, like I said, you can wrestle somebody like that, it's invaluable.
Not just that, before I got into wrestling myself, he was somebody who I actually watched before.
Right.
I got into.
He's been doing it for so long.
Yeah. And it was so amazing when I got told I was getting in the ring with him. I was like, what? It was just that quick double take, and it was so early on in my career as well.
Right.
It was like, I'm not ready for this.
But he and also he has a sense of like putting you at ease. You know what I mean? Like, you know that this guy could just have his way with you, but he, it's easy.
The match that I had with him, it could have been all. It could have been all him, all the way down, but it wasn't. It was. So, he's actually one of my memorable moments. He had me cracking, laughing all the way through the match because some of the stuff we were doing.
Right.
We were doing like proper comedy and everything. By the end of the match, we had the crowd almost on the floor laughing that hard. You could barely breathe. And
that's another, like, so he can do that. He can be serious. He can have a wrestling match. He can, like, he can go hold for hold. Like, he's just so diverse. He's just the total package, and he wants you to be that. Like, he expects nothing less than to be just as good, or if not better than him. He almost, like, has a certain quiet, he demands it of you.
Yeah.
So he brings out the best in you, which is good.
It's like I'd say he's a bit like a bit of a ring general. You can bring out the best in you.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
he's also not afraid, if you don't bring your best, he's not afraid to tell you, like, hey man, you're a little off out there. So.
Which is great.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I will say, with you wrestling in the States and over here, is there a difference between the two?
The biggest thing that I touched on earlier are the car journeys. Like, you can pretty much get from one end of England to the bottom in what, like 6-7 hours driving? We would do that. Like it's not even, and people here complain like, oh, I got to drive 6 hours. I'm like, man, if you only knew. Like if you knew about the 24-hour drives, the 20-hour drives, the 15-hour drives one way, you would not be complaining at all. But that's the biggest thing.
That's one thing I can also say I have never complained about.
So
for myself, with me doing that tour, with us touring, having to do all them long drives.
Exactly.
So I got a bit of a small taste of it.
Yeah. So like, and it's hard to explain to people who don't travel a lot and don't drive a lot. If I told somebody for like, oh, what do you do for a job? Well, I drove 30 hours this weekend to do one show, came back. They would look at you like you were like, you did what? It's just people don't understand that it's just part of it. You know what I mean? Like when I tell people who don't know anything about wrestling, like, oh, what'd you do this weekend? I drove 15 hours to Massachusetts and then came back. How long were you there? 2 hours. You came right back? Yeah. Like they don't, it sounds crazy when you put it like that.
It does sound crazy, but when you actually see what it's for,
exactly,
it actually explains it.
Exactly. Yeah, but when you tell people, yeah, I drove 15 hours to stay at this place for 2 hours and then I came back home, sounds crazy.
Definitely. So, how do you actually see the wrestling business currently in the state right now?
Okay, well, I can't really speak for like U.S. independents because I haven't been there. But the UK is on fire. Like, you look at any show anywhere, like, it's sold out crowd, sold out crowd, sold out crowd. Oh, we got to move to a bigger venue because we got too many people at this venue, and that's the story of every UK indie, that's out there right now.
It's slowly growing.
It's great. Like with Progress announcing Wembley Arena.
Yeah.
With ICW about to run their big arena show. It's great. And it's better for everybody. That has a trickle down effect on everybody. Like, as long as like those top independent promotions like ICW and Progress and Rev Pro and all those are doing well, it has a trickle down effect on all the other smaller indies. As long as wrestling's popular and it stays popular, it's going to help everybody out. So
exactly, and for myself, I've always stated, even though I'm with the wrestling, I tend to not just want to do wrestling for myself, but also give back to the community as well, which I always think is a good point to do with wrestling, because it's not just about just looking towards your own career; it's also looking for the next one as well.
Of course,
the next superstar as well.
Mm-hmm. But that's what's so good about it right now is there are, like, I see so many guys that don't work for those companies that could be there in a second. You know what I mean? Like, all these guys are ready to make that jump. It's just there's only so many spots on those shows. As opposed to where in America, all the top guys are wrestling already at that level, and there's a big gap in between.
Yeah.
Like, there's a big gap between guys who want to get to Evolve and who already are in Evolve, and guys who want to get to Ring of Honor and guys who are in Ring of Honor. There's a really big gap, as opposed to where here, somebody goes down or somebody gets signed or somebody gets injured, there's somebody right there to come up.
There's somebody already there to come up straight away.
Exactly. So, and I think that has to do with proximity as well. Like, because like I said, you can drive from one end to the other in 6-7 hours.
Yeah.
So these guys get to mingle and wrestle in the smaller shows. So it helps everybody out.
That it does. So is there any wrestlers that you currently see, stepping up to the next level that you've seen the best you've seen?
It's everybody. So I think maybe Charlie Sterling might be the next guy because of his look, his athleticism, and his build. He's tall. I think because he's not really, he's done some ICW shows, he's done some Rev Pro shows, but I think he could be the next top indie guy in England.
Yeah.
Just based on like I said, his physique, his look, his outlook. He's got a good attitude. I'd probably say Charlie Sterling's the guy, but there's so many other guys who could be.
Exactly. It's a massive pool, and it's hard to just pick out the names at times as well.
Right.
So one thing I will say is how can people find you?
On Twitter, at Harlem Bravado NC. On Instagram, same thing, at Harlem Bravado NC. And I also have a Facebook page, Unsigned Hype Harlem Bravado. You can search that on Facebook, and please give it a like because I update it all the time. So
definitely.
It's great, man.
And is there anywhere anybody can purchase any merch of yours?
So most wrestlers would say 1 hour tees, but I am boycotting 1 hour tees.
That's fair enough.
Because nothing bad against them. Like I appreciate what they do and their services, but I think as an independent wrestler, like the essence of that is doing it yourself.
Yeah.
So I like to do everything myself. Like all my own merchandise is purchased through me, made by me, printed by me. I do it all. Like any merchandise that you get from me has been made, has been printed, has been designed, and has been shipped out by me.
So the personal touch.
Personal touch. I also send a little note with every shipment. So
what more can you ask for?
It should be a romantic kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be, let's go to 1 hour tees. There's just nothing really like invested in that. You know what I mean? I want people to have that experience of, I interacted with him. Yeah. Like if people send me an email, like if they're chatting about merchandise, they're chatting with me. It's no guy printing the shirt. It's me.
Which is even better because they're actually getting to know you as well.
Exactly.
Which is as that personal touch, which makes it even more, which anybody can relate to. Because the more you're connected with the fan base on a personal level, the more you're connected with the crowd. Yeah.
And like if it was up to me, I would rather just sell all my merchandise at shows so that I have that interaction with people. But some people can't make it to the shows, that I'm on. So I was like, because for a while I wouldn't even ship merchandise. I was like, no, you gotta come to a show and see me and talk to me. Just because that's part of the experience, you know what I mean? So, but just know that I still try to put that back into the shipping orders and all of that. So every piece of merchandise you buy through me is personally from me, has my personal touch on it. So
what more can you ask for? And I think that's absolutely fantastic. I can also say thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
We always appreciate it. I just want to do a quick few shout outs to the UK Wrestle Fan Zone, the UKWA and everything. We like to thank Liam Pinches for doing the camera work. Thank you very much.
Good job.
And we recommend you check out our usual pages like social media, Facebook and whatnot. We're also on Twitter, YouTube and Spreaker. So just in case, so with that, we will see you at either the next interview, the next review, or the next broadcast. Catch you later.